You talk to people and they're content. They're like, oh, I'm happy with what I've got. I'm like, why? Because there's people who have a whole bunch more than you. And I was never content having a normal life. I wanted an exceptional life. I didn't want a normal car, a normal house, a normal girlfriend. I didn't want none of that. I was like, no. There's dudes out here that have the best. Why do they deserve the best and I don't deserve the best? I really believe that. And this is something I've always had inside me. I just didn't understand why I couldn't have the best stuff.
A wealthy upbringing. We come from a very poor upbringing. When we moved to England, we were in a homeless shelter for the first year as we were trying to find council housing, and we were growing a single mother council estate. Yeah. I've got every excuse everyone else has got to be a criminal asshole, and I'm not.
Yeah.
So, and people go, oh, you're lucky you could kickbox. Listen, getting up and running to this gym because my mom didn't have a car and we couldn't afford the bus, and running 4 miles training, then running 4 miles home is not luck. You could have done that and didn't want to. So, people may meet barriers, but if you genuinely apply yourself.
Nobody, absolutely nobody, gives a fuck about you as much as you're going to have to give a fuck about yourself. Nobody cares about you as much as they need to care to fix your life. Even your parents, even your friends, even all the people who think they care about you, they care about you. Yeah, sure, there may be 2 or 3 people on the planet who genuinely care about you, but nobody is going to come to your bed, drag you out of bed, drag you to a job, force you to work hard, go and get you a hot bitch, and go and buy you a Ferrari. Nobody is going to do that for you. You are never going to have any of the things you want if you do not get them yourself. Nobody cares about you enough to do it for you. This is absolutely true.
Because when you've come from the absolute bottom to the absolute top, and you've done it all off of your own back, and hard work and dedication, and never missing a day, the only shortcut to life is to never miss a day. 1, because of compounding interest, and 2, because sometimes you get lucky. And you'll never miss a lucky day if you try every day. If you don't try every day, you might miss your lucky day. And that's what people don't understand. If you never miss a day and you never don't try and you're always on time, was I late today? No, on time, and you try and improve every aspect of your life, and you're a professional, and you try and make sure that you analyze your decisions, you give yourself feedback, you don't make mistakes, you're not lazy. If you try and you make it to the top, you end up elitist because you look at the people down below and you're like, well, why didn't you try? I did. Oh, I did too. No, you didn't. That's a lie.
We were very, very poor. Me, my mother, and my brother, when we moved to England, we grew up in a homeless hostel. So I grew up at the very end of the socioeconomic ladder. I had a worse start than 99% of people. But I lived my life when I was poor, furious at the fact I was poor. Because my ego, and I'll be honest, my ego is at a point where I didn't understand how other people can afford Ferraris and I can't. I would be 18, walk into college, and a Ferrari would drive past, and it would ruin my week. And everyone would be like, what's wrong with you? And I'd be like, don't you see, this fat fuck can buy a Ferrari and I can't. Why? He's not a better man. He's not a better person than me. I'm just as good as him, if not better. I couldn't stand the fact that there are people who could do things I couldn't. So this gave me unlimited motivation to get rich. Now I found a way to get rich, and I believe that anyone who really, really, truly wants to get rich will get rich, one way or another.
I always knew the answer to everything is raw action.
Yeah.
The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain, we're all going to starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor, what do I do? It was, I'm poor, I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Dunno. Where can I get some cash? Dunno. What work can I do? Dunno. I'll just go for a run then. And I'd just go for 3-mile run.
And what the you need to sit there and realize, whoa. I have a few years of consciousness. And even less than that, I have a few short years as a young man, because age will damage you. I mean, if you're a millionaire when you're 60, it's not nearly as good as being a millionaire at my age. I became a millionaire at 28. So you need to realize you've got a few short years as a young man, you're wasting them.
What's the definition of a loser?
I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. I've never seen anybody dedicate themselves to something completely and fail. I've never seen somebody eat right, go to the gym every day,
train really hard and not be in good shape. I've literally never seen it. The universe is extremely giving. If you actually try and you actually want it and you're actually not making excuses, lying, talking shit, you're gonna get what you want. So when I see people who don't have what they want, I consider them losers. And this may be elitist, I understand that. But if I put myself through endless pain to end up where I am, it's very hard for me to have sympathy on the man who's afraid of pain. You're avoiding pain. I've been through endless. I now have everything I've ever desired. You have none of the things you desire. Am I supposed to feel sorry for you? Is it the easy way out? Am I supposed to look at you and go, oh, poor dude? No, you were a fucking coward. You didn't go through the shit I went through. You didn't put it on the line. So you deserve your substandard reality. That's what you deserve. You're a fucking loser. Because if you actually wanted it and you actually tried, you'd have it. You could have anything you want. Universe is super giving. You want a fucking Ferrari, you can have it. You want that bitch, you can have her. You can have anything you want on the planet. There's not a girl I look at that I want that I can't have. Not one. That's my reality. There's not a car I can't have. There's not a house I can't buy. If I want to go to a yacht, if I want to go to Antarctica, there's nothing I can't have. Bam. Because I've decided to become this man. It's the same for absolutely every single one of you at home. If you want it, you can have it. If you're sitting there saying, oh, but I tried my best and I still didn't get it, you're lying. You didn't try your best. That is a fucking lie. The universe gives it to everybody if you genuinely try.
So what's the main thing that you want to get across to the world?
My main message is to resist the slave mind. I think this all the time. To understand that every single thing you're being told has an agenda behind it, or you would be told it otherwise. To examine every strongly held belief you have and try and identify where it comes from and why you have it. I sit and argue with people, I discuss things with people, and they so fervently believe a point. And I say, why do you believe that so much? Like, do you have personal experience? No, but I saw the news. Why do you believe? The news told you X, and now you are desperate. You will sit here for hours arguing that point. A lot of people are completely empty vessels ready to be programmed. And I try and tell people, listen, to just stop for a second and understand that the things they're telling you to believe are not necessarily for your benefit. The people who make the rules don't make the rules for the benefit of everybody. They make the rules for the benefit of the people who make the rules.
Yeah.
Okay. So telling people to resist a slave mind and just be critical thinkers, keep their brain open, pay attention to things, be perspicacious, that's the general theme. And it doesn't matter whether you're left, right, liberal, man, woman, etc. It's just think for yourself. That's the thing.
I always knew the answer to everything is raw action.
Yeah.
The answer to everything has always been raw action. My dad had a tweet about this. He said that raw action solves all. And he used to say this. I'll give you an example. If you're a farmer and you need rain for your crop and there's no rain, you can sit there and say there's no rain, we're all gonna starve. Or you can stand up and do a rain dance. Now, will your rain dance work? Perhaps not. Perhaps the rain won't come. But I would argue that you're better off standing up doing that rain dance than just sitting there waiting to die. You have to do something. Raw action solves. So when I was broke, I was never like, I'm poor, what do I do? It was, I'm poor, I have to do something. If I was broke, I'd go for a run. That's why I was such a great fighter. If I was broke, I'd sit there and go, I'm actually poor. How do I make money? Dunno. Where can I get some cash? Dunno. What work can I do? Dunno. I'll just go for a run then. And I'd just go for 3-mile run or go hit the punch bag and get better.
This resonates so deeply, man. This is exactly what I did.
That's exactly. You just have to say, well, I have to do something. I can't just sit still and die. A lot of people are happy to just sit still and die or jerk off and go to sleep and take a nap. Well, if that's what you want to do, then you can say a loser. That's fine. I'm glad there are losers, because if everyone had Lamborghinis, my Lamborghini wouldn't be fun to show off. I need you to look at it and feel the deep pain in your heart of regret and failure. That's the whole point of it. I need to drive my Bugatti and everyone be looking at it going, I'll never have one of those. And I can get all their energy and feel it all, and it makes me happy. Fantastic. So you can sit at home and do nothing. But when I was poor, I had to go for a run. I couldn't sit still or lift weights or do something. I couldn't even sleep. So raw action solves everything. And I understood that at a young age. But as you get older, you get to look back and you get to put your whole story together, the whole tapestry together. I knew I wouldn't stay poor. Did I ever think I'd get this rich? Well, I never said I wouldn't, but did I ever think it would probably happen at this level? No, but it's amazing how the compounding interest of just endless raw action adds up. I've never had a lazy day. I've never skipped work, never missed an email, never had a day off, ever. You name if you were to go through the last 3 years of my life, you will see that there's never been a day where I wasn't doing what I was supposed to do.
And it all just adds up, and then monumental success comes, and you get to laugh at everybody else, ha ha ha, and life's great. But I really believe God's given me one of the best lives, and I can't complain about anything bad that's happened to me. It's all been fantastic.
The majority of people are losers. And this goes back to why, when we were saying earlier, how I know the elites view us. Because I'm from a council estate in Luton, a single parent household. And I've only been rich 10 years or so. And I despise losers. So imagine you're a billionaire born into a family, a lineage which has controlled Earth for hundreds of years. Imagine how much they despise us. Do you think they give a fuck about putting a bullet in me? Do you think they're gonna have any sleep at night missed? Do you think they give a solitary fuck about you missing your fucking parents' funeral because of the common cold? They don't give a solitary shit. Why would they? Because I already know how I feel when I listen to losers complain. Because this is what happens at a certain level of competence and power. You just get to a point where you're like, I'm tired of hearing your fucking excuses. That's bullshit. And you become, to a degree, yeah, cold and psychopathic. It's true. That's what happens. And I get it all the time. I get thousands of emails a day. Everyone I grew up with, people I know, I get it all the time. They'll message me, hey man, you know, just unlucky. You are not unlucky. You are a lazy fucking loser. You are not unlucky. You're breathing. You're lucky. The unlucky ones are gone. You're alive, and you are a lazy loser. So a loser is anybody who does not have everything they want at the drop of a hat. That's who I call a loser. Because I have absolutely everything I could ever possibly desire. And if I wanted something that I couldn't have, I guarantee we could speak again in a few months. And I'm like,
It's interesting you say that, because I have this saying, and nobody can understand. I say money's not real. People say, what do you mean money's not real? It's not real. Money's not real. It's numbers on the screen. It's not a real thing. And once you start putting systems in place that generate huge sums of money, and once you get to the point where money basically has no value, like I do, I can go buy a Ferrari today, and my bank balance will look like this. It doesn't change. This money isn't real. It's just numbers. It's all fucking invented. It's printed from the sky. It's garbage. You just have to find a way to make people understand your value, and yeah, it can just appear from absolutely nowhere. And I went from completely broke to hundreds of millions of dollars. And I know what you're saying in regards to this other world, because there is a subsect to humanity. It's kind of strange. When I was broke, when I was on a council estate in Luton, I thought everyone was poor. And now that I have money, it kind of feels like everyone's rich. I go to buy a plane and they're like, no, sold out. I thought you fucking sold out a plane? I go to buy a Bugatti and they're like, sold out. I'm like, all the shit. Who are these people? Yeah, everyone's bought everything. Like, yeah. And it's crazy how many people out there have such ridiculous sums of money, truly ridiculous sums of money. There are so many rich people in the world, and it's kind of like your reality is based off. It's the Matrix, right? If you're broke, everyone's broke. If you're rich, everyone's rich. And a lot of people have this separation. I was lucky to live in both worlds, but a lot of people have this separation.
A strong body is a strong mind. Secondly, there's a lot of discipline required in fitness, and discipline can be applied to universally to all things. Discipline is a skill you can pull out of your pocket and apply to anything. You can force yourself to do something you don't want to do because you're disciplined, not because you're motivated, like we said earlier on, not because you feel like doing it, but because you're supposed to do it. Thirdly, this is something that not many other people say, so I'm going to say it. There is a unspoken rule amongst men, and I remember a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, there were women on Twitter or women on the internet saying, when men meet, do they always think about the possibility of violence? Does that cross their mind? And they were surprised by that fact. That if men we met for a podcast, but if you meet men in an unfriendly scenario or you don't know who they are, for a fraction of a second, you're thinking, can I win this fight? Are they going to attack me? It crosses our minds. We live in a very physical realm. Any man who doesn't has been polluted by the Matrix and will never be competitive and is doomed to fail. But if you're truly competitive, like you should be as a man, it always crosses your mind. And one of the important things about physical fitness that most people never talk about, never say, is men treat you different when they know that you need hard. Life treats you different. Women certainly do. That's an obvious one, right? Women like muscly guys because muscly guys can fight. Obviously that's not the case, but that's how they look dangerous, right? But men also treat you differently, which means society as a whole treats you differently. I would argue that if you wanted to run any kind of company, or even do sales or do anything else. Let's go back to sales. Let's talk about what we were saying earlier. If I wanted to sell windows and I came in fantastic physical condition, the person who's buying from me, one, knows I'm disciplined, and two, knows I'm diligent. That's going to be some massive advantages from my sales perspective.
Right.
But also, I would argue that men are happy to look up to somebody who is physically strong in a different regard. I think it would be difficult for you to be a true leader unless you showed some degree of physical prowess. I think that's just the way the world has always worked at a deep level. When a man looks at a guy who's 6'8" and jacked, and he says, "We're going to go into battle," you're more motivated to go into battle beside him because he's 6'8" and jacked. You feel like you're going to win. You like the idea of being led by a warrior.
Right.
So there's that huge element to it as well. And the final part of it all is that it's so much easier to keep something than it is to gain something. And once you're in good physical shape, it's actually so easy to maintain as opposed to ever get there. Mm-hmm. It's so hard to get there that if you ever get there, you may as well just keep it.
Right.
It's because it's so easy to keep as opposed to lose. And I think it's in today's world, it's also a huge status symbol because we live in a world now where most things can be bought. You can buy Instagram followers, and you can hire a Lambo, and you can buy a hot chick to stand next to you, but you can't yet buy perfect physical conditioning. Mm-hmm. That is showing the world that you did it.
One rep at a time, it's earned.
You have to earn it. And it's one of the few things left that has to be earned the hard way that you can't buy, which I think is also very important. We can also continue to answer this question because you're going to feel different. You feel different as a man when you know you can, and I'm a peaceful man, but when you know if things happened, or if someone tried to hurt the woman next to you, you could destroy the man who's trying to do it. You feel different. There's an aura that people can smell. The woman can smell it. Predators can smell it. Maybe, perhaps, if I was built differently, I would have been treated differently in jail.
Good point. Yeah.
But everybody looked at me and they knew who I was, and they thought, that's messy. Not him. It's just how humans work, right? And it's just how the whole universe works. It's how the animal kingdom works. Even lions and tigers, as fearsome as they are, go for the weakest antelope. They don't want a hard fight. They just want to eat, right?
Even mating partners. Yeah.
100%. So society is the same. I'm sure there's scenarios in my life where I've walked down a street and I've been left alone, and the person who walked after me a few seconds later, because he wasn't built like I was the one who got mugged. I'm sure that's happened at some point in my life. But I'm the hard target. And I like feeling like the hard target. And I think that I approach life differently knowing I'm the hard target.
I think you should go through life with respect.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest problems we have in the world today is too many people have just become comfortable with being idiots. You talk about rage bait.
Yeah.
99% of streamers are idiots. They're running around insulting and abusing and pranking innocent people and playing stupid games and insulting people they don't know. I don't find any of that funny. I don't think any of that's appealing in any way. When I see these idiot streamers running up to innocent people and scaring them or insulting other people they barely know for views or all of these kind of things, I think it's extremely infantile. And I think that not too long ago in the world, it would get you hurt. And I go through the world with respect as much as possible. I try not to disrespect people because I understand where I'm from. If you disrespect people, real bad things can happen. So I'm not the kind of person who's going to sit on Twitter and just insult random people. I think that's stupid. Even if they can't find me, even if they can't get to me, even if they don't have the capability, I think God himself is watching, and I don't think God likes people who do that kind of thing. I think that you pay the price one way or another if you're going to go through life and be that kind of person. You should be respectful to everybody. I'd be respectful right up to the point I hit somebody in the face. Why wouldn't I be? That's just how I am as a person. So I think being respectful is extremely important. I think it's what the world is missing. I think it's especially what the crypto community is missing.
Interesting.
I think the entire world is missing respect. I think there's a lot of people with a few followers and a big mouth who, perhaps because they live in a failed state like California and they live in a failed city like LA, they just go through life and they do a bit of drugs and their friends do a bit of drugs.
I don't do drugs.
Everyone just talks constant shit and nobody has any honor or respect anymore, and there's crack addicts everywhere and houses get robbed and rappers get shot and nothing matters. You just run your mouth, right? But if you live in other areas of the world, if you lived in Moscow or Bucharest and you were the kind of person who just talk shit on Twitter, you'd pay the price for that. You have to be a lot more careful in other places.
I have a lot of guys ask me, similar to your question, a guy will come to me and go, "How do I get a girl?" I'm like, "Bro, you're a loser." "Yeah, but I know, but how do I get a girl?" "Well, you're a fucking loser. You're a loser. Why are you asking me?" It's like saying, "How do I win a race with a push bike?" You're racing Ferraris. What do you want me to do? Yeah. There's only so much you can do. There's only so hard you can pedal. There's only so many tricks and tips. There's only so many game
things you can say, so many pickup lines. If you're a loser, it's going to be very, very difficult, and it's going to get harder and harder. The game is rigged to become harder and harder for men. It's not getting easier. It's going the other way. And if you're going to be on a racetrack and there's going to be Ferraris there, and you're going to be on a pedal bike or in a Nissan, you're going to get smoked. That's the game. You have to up yourself. You have to improve yourself. I'm not going to lie to anybody here and say you don't have to improve yourself. You can stay a loser and get chicks, because you can't.
Yeah.
You can't. I've never met somebody with a fantastic life who did not completely and utterly believe in themselves. I've never seen somebody massively succeed and they didn't believe in themselves, ever. I've never seen somebody who just allows life to happen to them and become blown off course by some sadness, end up doing massively monumental and important things. I've never seen it. And if she leaves me afterwards, let's say she just likes to leave men, I don't care. Yeah. I'm still working. You're still crying. You can't possibly ever beat me. I'll continue to beat you into eternity, as will my bloodline. You will sit and pay the price for the rest of your human years. Even your ancestors above you are disappointed in you, and your offspring for the rest of your lineage will look up and say, my great-great-great-grandfather was a loser because I broke his heart, and now we've been broke ever since.
Yeah.
I wake up every day and I think, how do I make my life better? Nobody else wakes up each day and goes, how do I make Andrew Tate's life better? So if you're not the person who's waking up every day going, how do I improve my existence? Then nobody is. Nobody on the planet is considering improving your one spin on Earth.
No one else cares.
Nobody else cares. So if you don't care, then you're fucked. So you need to wake up and care. And it's amazing to me, like you're saying, how did I find my mentors? I just tried a bunch of them. Like when I had no money, I would try very hard I'd listen to lots of different people, or I'd try different things. And I wasn't scared to invest in myself, because I understand that, look, if he's taking time out of his life, then I need to reward him for it financially. And I tried very hard, and I listened, and I paid attention, and I was never lazy. I don't believe there's a person on the planet who pays attention, tries their best, is never lazy, is on time, works hard, has a mentor, and is giving it his all, who isn't rich. I don't believe it. I think that if you do all those things, you're rich. And if you don't have any money, you're missing one of those key elements. Now, you can fool yourself and you can fool everyone else and you can pretend you're doing them, but if you're truly honest with yourself, am I finding people who are trying to teach me what I want to know, and am I trying my best? And the answer is fucking no every time. Just even being around people with money is just a good place to be. I'll give you an example. I was in Romania, and I have the largest car collection probably in Romania. I have 28 supercars, everything you can name. And I went to a town called Cluj-Napoca. It's on the border of Hungary. And I drove there in my Chiron, and I parked up, and a kid came up and he said, hey, can I take some photos of your car? I have a car spotting page. I was like, yeah, whatever, cool. And he goes, yeah, okay, I'll just be a few minutes to this. So he took a bunch of photos, and he come up to me and goes, hey, do you want the photos? And I was like, not really, I've already have photos. And he goes, oh yeah, okay. Well, if you want them, here's my email address. And I said to him, why do you do this? Like, you spend all day standing around taking photos of other people's cars. Is that not a waste of time? I thought it was a waste of time, but I was wrong. He goes, oh, well, I skipped school and I skipped college because I knew if I take pictures of expensive cars and email them to people, I'll have email addresses of the richest people in Romania.
Yeah, smart.
I was like, you're clever. I ended up hiring him. He works for me now.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I like you. He got himself a full-time job that day. So he understood, be near the money. I have no money. Money's over there. Well, let me get closer to it. Like, no point staying over here on my fucking own. Let me at least get closer to it. That was a 17-year-old kid. Now he's making 10 grand a month in Romania from me. So like, at least being closer to it. So you're right. People should, even if they haven't got a penny in the world, should be going to these meetings about real estate, about investing, that especially if it's cheap, they should go. Just meet other people who at least have money. Have conversations about money. Talk about it. How are you going to get what you don't talk about? I will say this, because I say it on every single podcast. If they lock me up for some insane bullshit,
The Matrix has attacked me.
if I carry on at the trajectory I'm carrying on, they're going to put me in jail because I'm too influential. For the people watching at home, they just need to sit and understand that the system does not make rules for the good of you. It makes rules for the good of the people who make the rules. And a lot of the life paths laid out to the average man at home today is not for their own good. It's only going to lead them to depression and misery.
There's no evidence in my file because I've done nothing wrong. Everybody knows I'm innocent.
This is a huge injustice the way we see it. They should not be detained at this point. There are not even charges filed against them.
People are trying to set him up to look like he's something that he's not.
They best get this guy, because if he comes out and he's free, oh my gosh. Can you imagine if he comes out and he's free, what his first life is going to be like? It could break the record. It'll be the talk of the world on how many people. It'll be banned in countries. It'll be feared, because if you go after a person like this, you better have proof to arrest them or get them. You don't go through somebody like this because they become a big figure and their message becomes bigger, specifically to the people that didn't listen to it before or hated it. They're going to say, why are you trying to silence this guy? And you don't think Andrew's going to come out telling the story?
The point I'm trying to make is smart work or intelligent work is something that most people use to hide and disguise their laziness. And I'll tell you why. Because if you're not a lazy individual, the first thing you do is you dedicate your entire life to work. Like I just said, every check is work, every gym session I go to is work, every car I drive is work. I'll film it, I'll use it, whatever it is. Every single thing I do inside of my existence is work. Once I've used all of my human time, every single waking second of every single day, and I now have a pile of work I can no longer complete, then I look to streamline. And then I go, okay, I've been awake for 17 hours and my work isn't finished. I need to find a more efficient way to get my work done. That's when you start being smart and efficient. But until all of your time is used, smart and efficient is a disguise for laziness. It's flawless, right? You don't need to be smart or efficient. You need to fucking work. I have people inside of Hustles University. You just said I conquered TikTok, right? There's a guy inside of Hustles University. He was 16. He was making 45,000 pounds a month. You know why? Because he takes my old interviews, he makes TikToks, and he puts them on TikTok. He does 300 TikToks a day. He just works. Doesn't think, doesn't try and be smart, doesn't try and be efficient, doesn't try and change the world. He sits his ass there on his phone and fucking works. And now he's making 45 grand a month. I've told this story on other podcasts before, but I've been an envious person. I've told this story because it was so pertinent to me about how most people don't care. I was walking to school. I was walking to Sixth Form College in Luton. I was 16, 17 years old. And I used to have to walk about an hour each day to school, and it was raining, and I was walking. And I was walking with 3 of my friends in a Ferrari. It was an F430, I think, pulled up at the...
That was my first Ferrari.
Pulled up at the lights, made a bunch of noise, and I was standing there, and I watched it, and then the light went green, and he just tore off. I said to my friends, I was like, bro, how do we get Ferraris? And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, my mom is on a council estate, single mother. She raises 3 kids on 300 pounds a month. We can barely afford food. He has 200 grand for a car. Liquid for a car. Something is broken. None of the teachers at school have Ferraris. None of our university professors have Ferrari. No one else I know has a Ferrari. What do we have to do to break the matrix and find the money? This is all a lie. I want a Ferrari. And my friends were like, don't know. That's why I have Ferraris.
Wrong friends.
Well, no, that's why I have Ferraris and they don't. That's why I now have 33 Ferraris. Because I was envious. I was envious of this man. Most people don't care.
But you turned envy into learning how to figure it out.
Well, I turned envy into anger, and anger is power. But what we have people doing now, because they don't believe in themselves, because the matrix has dampened their soul, when they feel envious, because they want to level the playing field, which is all envy is. Instead of trying to elevate themselves, they try and drag others down. So when people look at my life and they're envious of me, what they should say is, he's truly from the most humble possible socioeconomic beginning. He is a person of color from a council estate, a single mother household. He is the bracket of criminal. He's at the bottom. And he made it up to the highest echelons. He's on the phone with Elon Musk and his ability. He can do it, I can do it.
What's the worst advice anyone's ever given you?
It's a good question. I've seen a lot of bad advice on the internet. What's the worst advice anyone's ever given me personally? I never really listened to anybody. So it's hard for me to talk about advice because I never listened to it. The traditional path to wealth is terrible advice. To go to university, get a degree, get a job, blah, blah, blah. That's terrible advice. We already know that. We talked about that. I think follow your passion is also a terrible piece of advice.
Yeah?
Yeah. People say, hey man, you need to find what you're passionate about and do that. And what they're trying to say is only do what you like because you have no motivation to do anything else. And motivation in and of itself is a scam. I don't believe in motivation. I believe in discipline. I am not motivated to do the things I'm supposed to do every day. I don't wake up full of like joy that I have to go to the gym or that I have to work or I got to deal with crap. I don't feel motivated to do them. I'm disciplined. I do them regardless of how I feel. Whether I'm in the mood to do it or I'm not in the mood to do it, it gets done. That's discipline. Discipline's a real thing. Motivation is fleeting.
Yeah.
You're never going to be permanently motivated. So when someone comes along and says, oh, do what you're passionate about, what they're saying is you'll have endless motivation and then you'll be able to try hard. If you're the kind of person who can only try hard at something he enjoys, then you're going to fail. Because most things you enjoy don't pay any money. If they paid money, you wouldn't enjoy them. It's called a job, right? Nobody likes their job. You like your hobby. I'm sure you like playing video games. Maybe 1%, 0.1% can make money from video games, right? Most people, you ain't ever going to make it.
Yeah.
Do you think the guy in China who owns a concrete plant is passionate about concrete? Do you think he's sitting there stroking it at night, naked in bed? Fuck no. It's money. Be passionate about success. If you're passionate about money, then you can be passionate about anything. I'll be passionate about any business on earth that pays me. If you pay me $1 billion to dig that hole, I'll be very passionate about that hole. I will dig that hole with passion for the cash.
Yeah, because you know the cash.
For the money.
Yeah.
That's right. So when people come along and say, oh, you need to find something you're passionate about, follow your passion. Bro, you're going to follow your passion to the fucking food bank. You're never going to make any money that way. You have to sit there and go, what is going to pay me?
Most men's dream is a Lamborghini, let's say. And they have to save, and they have to finance it, and work out how they're going to pay for it, and they have to get the garage for it, and it's a big deal. So by me trivializing that big deal, it highlights to me the echelon of my life. If I walk into a car dealer and say, what have you got right now? Oh, this and this. Okay. Don't ask the price. Don't care what it is. Don't care what it costs. And pay for it, and then leave it at the dealership for 4 months before eventually it collects on a truck, because I never pick it up, and it goes into some storage unit somewhere. It's like I get other people's dreams with ease. I take their dream scenario and I trivialize it into just, yeah, okay, I don't even want it. And I think that's what I enjoy about it. It's kind of like
that is hedonistic.
Well, it's kind of like a man's in love with a supermodel. Oh, I love the supermodel, and he writes on her Instagram, and well, these dudes, this is real. A man's in love with a girl on Instagram. She's got 3 million followers, and she's beautiful, and he's liking her posts and writing underneath it, and he's inboxing her, and she's not replying, and he's obsessed with her, and I'm like, yeah, okay, coffee. Fine, Tuesday. Do I really want to talk to her? No. But this man wants it so bad that I have to make it so ridiculously easy. I guess it's kind of like a peacock putting up his feathers, you know? Or a lion saying, don't come near my territory, don't come near my tree, or I'll annihilate.
If you were in a room with ice cream experts and all they talked about was ice cream, how to make it, how to store it, how to move it, the different flavors, the size of the cartons it's in, how much it costs to produce, if all they talked about was ice cream and you were in that room, sooner or later when someone comes to you to ask you something about ice cream, you're going to know the answer.
Yeah.
But you're going to accidentally know some shit about ice cream. If you're in a room of people who only talk about money, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So you need to be around people who are about it. And the problem is with the people out here, everyone has a dream, but not many people have a plan. A dream and a plan are different things. When you say to guys, do you want to be rich? Yeah, I want to be rich. How will you get rich? One day when a ship comes in. So you can have a dream with no plan. When's the last time something fantastic has ever happened on accident? When's the last time you've seen a big jacked dude and you say, hey man, how'd you get so jacked? And he goes, dunno, oops. Dunno, it just happened. No, he planned it. He went to the gym, he ate a certain way, he planned his meals, he had to make it happen. It's exactly the same with getting rich. You need a plan to get rich, right? Everyone out there has a dream, but very few people have a plan. Yep. If you're surrounded by people who have a plan to get rich, and you provide value to them in some way, because they're not going to drag you up if you ain't doing nothing, because that's what friendship is. Friendship is value exchange.
Yeah.
If you provide value to them, sooner or later you're going to begin to make money. Let me tell you something. When I was broke, and like I said, I have a bunch of money now. I was broke. This is not like I was broke, but from like a middle-class family. I was broke, single mother, public government housing, no car. I had to run to the gym, broke. When I was flat broke, the only of my friends I'd sit around and talk to were my friends who would talk about money. The guys would sit and talk about video games or sit around and talk about football. I wouldn't hang around with them. I only used to sit and talk to my friends, talk about money. None of us had any money, right? But if we walked into a coffee shop and we bought coffee, we would then sit there over our coffee and analyze, how did this coffee shop make us give them our money? Because that's what's happened. We've given our money to this coffee shop. Why? Did we really want coffee? Where is it located? Is it a convenient location? Is it because of the brand of the coffee? Is it because the waitress is cute? Why are we in this particular coffee shop? Why didn't we go to that one? Why are we in this one? If we were to open up a coffee shop next door, how could we outcompete this one?
What's the rent for this place? What's the margin on a cup of coffee? Everyone in here's a man. If you notice, everyone in here's a man in a business suit. Why is the person serving not a hot girl? Why is it a guy? Do they sell sandwiches? Do they sell cake? Like, start to actually think. Think about the money. And then if you do that every single time you spend money on anything, you're going to end up realizing there's tons of gaps. There's gaps in the market everywhere. You'll start to sit there and go, you know what? I could open up a coffee shop right next door to this fucking coffee shop. Change this, this, and this, and murder this place. But people don't think about it. People just give their money away all day, and it never even crosses their mind about how they were convinced to give their money away.
Yeah.
You know? Because if you want to get rich, you're not the Federal Reserve. You can't create money from the sky. You need to convince other people to give you their money. So every time you give your money away, work out why.
Yep.
You know, so you need to be surrounded by people who think this way. You need to adopt this attitude. I've always had it even when I was poor. You need to start to realize that the traditional methods of creating wealth, which are advertised to you, are a scam. The idea that you can just work really hard, save up, get a mortgage, and in 35 years pay the house off, and then you'll be rich. That's not real. That's what your parents did, right? The average cost of a house during your parents' era was like 4 times the wages or 5 times the yearly wage or something. Now it's completely out of control.
Yeah.
It's completely out of control. And patience is another thing I'll make a big point. Patience is a huge enemy to getting rich. I don't care what these Gary Vee and these dorks, because Gary Vee's a nerd. Gary Vee's a nerd, right? He may have some money, right? But if I were to grab him by his neck, hey, bro, you gotta be really tough and you gotta really work hard. Shut the fuck up, pussy. He's a bitch, right? So when all these dorks are talking about patience is what they tell the slaves to convince the slaves to keep being slaves. That's what it is. If I was in charge of the world, right, and I had a working class of slaves, which is what the working class is. I don't use that word slaves unironically, right? You're slaves, and I'll tell you why. If I can create something from thin air, and I can create unlimited amounts of it, and I can make you give up your life for this thing, you're my slave. If I could create dollars from thin air, unlimited amounts, and I can make you sacrifice your life.
Fiat currency.
And make you sacrifice your life for a tiny percentage of what I can create from thin air, you are my slave. Because even if you say no, I'll say, I'll give you some more. Oh, okay. Oh, here's some more of the free thing I make. Here, go do it. Go clean the streets, idiot. You're a slave, right? So the slaves, what they do to keep the slaves being slaves is they advertise patience. Don't worry. Here's what you do. You go to school, you go to college, you go to university, you get in debt, you get a mortgage, you get in more debt. You work really hard. Don't worry. Your life's shit now, but in the future it'll be good. Don't worry. A good day's coming. You might retire with a 401k. Keep working. Keep going, slave. You can do it. Patience is how they trick you into keep being a slave.
Yep.
I turned myself from no money to my first million in 2 years to 30 million 3 years later. That's how fast you can make money if you're about money. If you're about it, right? So I've never believed in patience. You got to forget the patience. You got to forget the people who
money loves speed, man.
Money loves speed.
Yeah.
You got to forget the people who aren't about money around you. It's got to be all you think about, all you talk about. You got to start producing. You got to start attracting attention one way or another. And if you do all those things, you will start to make some money. But next time you're sitting with your friends, this is a challenge for every single person watching this. Next time you sit with your friends, unprompted, come in, sit down, and just join in the conversation. Just join in whatever they're talking about. And after about 20 seconds, sit and think, this is bullshit. This is not going to make any of us rich. They're talking about this, that, this bitch, fucking football game, this guy. This is not going to make any of us rich.
Nonsense.
Eureka, I am wasting my life.
Go do something that's painful, whether it be from physical pain or fear. And most of the time, if you can find that and go towards it, go looking for that pain, especially at that young age when your testosterone's so high, then you're probably doing the right thing. You're probably on the right path. Do that.
Bro, they're gonna be pissed.
Furious. That's the best thing about it, is pissing off everyone who hasn't got one. 60 in the world. 60 in the world, Lou.
Man.
How did we pull this off? Didn't I see you working in Chipotle?
Yeah.
Bro, Tristan
I was a brokey.
You were a brokey. Tristan used to work in Pret. He was a brokey. And I used to work in a fishmonger's carrying boxes of ice.
We used to be brokies.
We were brokies.
I want to make something very clear. I come from a very poor family. My mother and father broke up when I was 11. My father stayed in America to play chess. There's no money in pro chess. My mom and I, we all moved to a homeless shelter in Luton. I grew up in a homeless shelter. So I grew up as poor as you can go. And I went to a council house, went to a really bad school.
Full house. Just us two. Oh, you're full? Full. Okay.
Nathan and Andrew have been looking for a cheap hotel for well over an hour, but haven't been able to find anywhere within their budget.
I had no money. I'm carrying boxes of ice. I'm a smart guy. I'm not playing chess anymore, right? Oh, I need to do something which drains me so that I can go to sleep at night without frustration. And if I kickbox, if I run 3 miles to the gym and then fight for 3 hours and run 3 miles home, at least I can sleep. I literally couldn't sleep. Kickboxing was my answer. I just started kicking people's ass and I just felt a little bit better. That was kind of how it worked.
When I was 21, me and Andrew used to have no food. I used to drive my broken Volkswagen Golf to the KFC restaurant in Dunstable, United Kingdom. And I used to sit in my car. And you couldn't ever eat anyone's leftover food if they ever had their mouth on it. But at KFC, they used to buy buckets. And I would sit and wait for people to sit outside, eat their meal, and leave the bucket on the table. And I used to go and take that bucket, 3 or 4 pieces of chicken. And I used to collect 20, 30, 40 pieces of chicken that were perfectly fine left in the buckets. And I used to go home and I used to freeze that chicken. And me and Andrew would break it up, put it in our rice, and that was our meal. That's what sustained us for that hard year. That year we had when I was 21 and you were 22. That's how broke we were. I used to scavenge chicken from KFC because I thought, fuck it, I'm not dying and I'm not losing my kickboxing fights because I don't have enough protein. What am I going to do to make it through the day? That's how broke I was.
Growing up around a bunch of other poor kids, and we'd be walking to school or walking to college, and a Ferrari would drive past. And they'd go, oh, cool, Ferrari. And I'd say, doesn't that annoy you? And they're like, what do you mean? He knows, he's hacked the matrix. Don't you see? How does he have 400 grand for a car? He knows something we don't know. Well, aren't you annoyed that there's people out there living a lifestyle that we can't ever aspire to? We're never gonna work in a job and pull this off. Doesn't this bother you? And they all be like, no. But me, I was always angry.
One of the most telling points of mine in Andrew's life is at the time he was just fighting. Because Andrew turned around to me one day when I got home and he said, you know, bro, I'm just going to start selling for insulated conservatories. I'm going to get you a job. We'll combine our money. We'll be on £3,000 a week. It's not bad. I looked at him in the eye. I said, Andrew, you can't do that. You can't accept that job. You can't come work for my company because once you do, then that's who we're going to be. You've got to think of something better. You do your training, you do your fighting, you're exhausted all day. Take the time, spend the day thinking, researching, and find something better. I'm going to go and make the money. I'm going to make sure that our heads stay above water. And that's one of the most important decisions we ever made.
So I sat in my room. Next day I wake up. All right, I need to get rich. And I'm starting from nothing, right? So I get on my laptop and I start Googling, what is money? Where does it come from? How does money work? And then I started learning about fractional reserve banking, the Federal Reserve, how it's not linked to gold anymore. I didn't even understand how banks worked. I didn't understand any of this shit. I started looking it all up, and I spent a good 3 or 4 days studying. And then I got really angry because I realized that money is bullshit. It's all a lie. It's printed from the sky, and I still don't have it.
Are all the no Bugatti people poor?
Of course they are!
Are we all, like, but landowners poor? Yeah. Oh, shit! This thing goes!
Now the most famous man on the planet. I'm more Googled than Donald Trump, Joe Biden. I've conquered the world.
Whoa! How much are you worth?
I'm a billionaire by now. This week in between Christmas and New Year is perhaps the most wasted week of the year. Nobody does anything significant. You're sitting around, it's just been Christmas, and you just want to wait, etc., etc., etc. If you start at the same time as everybody else, you don't have an advantage over everybody else. You're going to run a race. You want to go first, don't you? So do you have to wait for the calendar to reset because you really need that little bit of extra motivation to not be a lazy piece of shit? Do you need to see a number 1 on the calendar to get up and get your work done?
The winter's New Year. The winter's New Year begins directly after Christmas because you have Christmas Day, you sit around with your family, you eat food, you listen to your aunt, you see that cousin who thinks they're successful. Oh, actually, you just got into college. Imagine getting into college. If you work hard while everyone else is resting, for some reason that work you do is double as powerful
God is watching the work, and he has a big pile of benefits. And he's saying, who's doing work right now so I can give them some benefits? And on a normal day, X amount of billion people are doing work, so he hands out some benefits. But on a day when everyone else is being lazy, when you do work, when he divvies up the benefits for the work, you're going to get more for it. So right now, we're in a time vacuum. We're in a period of time, the days between Christmas and New Year, where everybody wastes their life. If I were to ask you, what did you do with the days between Christmas and New Year last year? You wouldn't even be able to tell me. You believe you can waste the following days between Christmas and New Year because you think, Tristan, these people at home think that they've had a hard year. I've worked hard this year, so I'm going to just relax until the new year. I've done enough work. I've had a really difficult time. In fact, I've achieved a lot. Have you put a dent in the matrix like we have? No. Have you suffered in a Romanian jail cell like we have? No. Have you birthed any more children? Have you started $1 billion company? Were you the most Googled man alive? No, you've done nothing. And even after fucking up for a whole year, you think you need rest. You don't need rest. What you do need is to get a head start on the competition. On the 1st of January, when everyone tries to pull motivation out their ass, there's going to be a week or so where people are going to try really hard, and all the blessings from God have to be divvied up amongst all the peasants before they eventually quit and give up. These days, you're going to get the most benefit from your work, which means you should double your work. Make hay while the sun shines. And because I am Top G, I have decided to offer you all something brilliant. Because I know most of you struggle with the basic tenet of dedication and motivation and concentration. You have TikTok brain. Your mind has been assassinated by the algorithms. This is the average person's life. Gets his phone. TikTok, 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 TikTok. Girl on Instagram. Hi. She doesn't reply because she's a loser. TikTok, TikTok. Pornhub. Twitter. Andrew's a human trafficker. Twitter. I'm motivated. I want to be better. Okay, you have to do this. It's really hard. You have TikTok mind. Your mind get attacked. It's been fried like a fried egg. Imagine you're in bed and Top G walks into your room, grabs you by your hair, looks you dead in the eye, and tells you you're a fucking failure. By your hair, you're asleep. You're a fucking failure! And I dragged you to the gym, and I stood over you while you're on the machines. Puny 2000. You're on the puny machine with the lowest weight. Eventually, after X amount of hours in the worm gym, you might move on from the Punifier 2000 to the real man's machines. Point is, you can do it. You just need someone to make you do it. And I'm not going to fly around the world grabbing you all by your hair. But what I am going to do is give you an opportunity where you can be forced to dedicate yourself for once in your life. During these days, between Christmas and New Year, I'm offering a special package for the real world where you get 2 months for free. You get access to an accountability manager and you get access to the real world platform. So instead, you have to be a man. And when a man says he's going to do something, he does it even if it's hard. There's a 16-year-old kid making 45 grand a month from his TikTok. Because all he's done is he's gone into Hustle University, he's joined. He say, okay, how do I get attention? I'm 16. I'm not a flawless orator. I don't have a life or life experiences which are interesting enough to be used in a podcast which are going to ever allow people to pay attention to me. Yep. But Tate does. So let me go and find all of Tate's old stuff. Let me chop it up. Let me make a TikTok for Tate. That gets attention. How do I monetize attention? Now people are on my page. How do I monetize it? Well, I can take my referral link. I'm in HU. Here, they can sign up, get 50% off my link. Boom. So he's taking attention, the attention that I generated. All he's done is chop up some TikTok clips, monetized it, and he's making 45 grand a month. Do 16.
That's my
bro. So like, it's crazy. So there's so much money that can be made, but you have to find a way to get attention in the first place, right? That's the hard part. And if you look at a lot of companies, so many of them have huge profit margins, but they have to spend all their money on advertising to sell any product. And then the margin gets wrecked because they have to get attention the old fashioned way, which is advertising. And that's a very expensive way to get attention. You need to find another way now. Yeah. And it's difficult. That is the only hurdle between being broke and being a billionaire. Attention. How do you get it without embarrassing yourself and being a jackass? Because no one buys from a clown, right? Mm-hmm. So me, I'm lucky because I've had a very, very eclectic life, and I'm good at speaking, and I have a good memory, and I have a lot of stories, and I can sit and tell people, and I can talk in a way that make people know I know what I'm talking about. So that's how I get attention, right? But if you don't even have that, then it's difficult. It's hard. You got to find a way. And I don't exist in a vacuum. The educational system exists in a vacuum because the loans that they'll give you, you can only spend on that education. If they were to open it up to fair market, nobody would go university. If they're to say, here's 50 G's. You can buy Bitcoin, you can start a business, you can put a house deposit, or you can buy a degree. Who's going to choose a degree? No one. So they deliberately link the loan to the education and say you can only have one with the other because then they don't exist in a fair and open economy because they wouldn't be able to succeed in a fair and open economy because they are selling a scam. They're selling a lie. I exist in a fair and open economy. You don't have, if you spend $49 with HU, you can spend that on anything else. You can go buy Snickers and
Man, people are saying Bitcoin's a scam. People are saying, people are saying some of the most fundamental, rudimentary, new financial systems on the planet, like the blockchain, are a scam. There's always someone who's going to say something's a scam. There's some people who are negative, and the reason that people are negative like that is because it is a disguise for their laziness. If they say something is a scam, they don't have to try.
Yeah.
Right? But they have to. I'm not saying HU is going to instantly make you rich. You have to work like you do on anything else of value. You have to get in there and try. If they get in there and they don't want to try, what's the first thing they're going to say? Scam. I joined. He told me to do something. It takes an hour and a half. I'm lazy. Scam. That's it. That 16-year-old kid making 45 grand, he's making TikToks all day, every day. He's working. Like, he ain't getting money for free. He's sitting there finding videos, chopping them up, making them entertaining, adding the fucking titles that he's working for. Not that. A lot of people with no money are really, really arrogant. I know a lot of broke people who are very arrogant. They'll come along and go, I think that's a scam. Oh, do you, Brokey? Oh, Brokey thinks it's a scam. Oh, tell me again about how my online educational platform, the biggest in the world, which I built when I'm flying around in my private jet. Tell me again about how I'm out here to scam you of your fucking 36 pounds. It's dumb because they're arrogant. And their arrogance is a shield for their laziness. People will shield laziness with anything. No one wants to admit they're lazy. So they'll shield it with disbelief. Ah, that's a scam. Or, I don't work hard, I work smart. Bollocks. More cover. Just anything it takes to say, I don't want to work.
Do you believe in that? Work smart or not harder?
I believe in both.
Yeah.
But there's a time when it comes to work smart. And most people are trying to do the smart work before they do the hard work. It's kind of like talent. Right? You don't notice if you're talented at something until all the hard work's done.
Yep.
I could be the most talented tennis player in the world, but I don't play tennis. So if I go down the tennis court, Joe Schmo's going to smoke me. I don't get to see my talent until I've worked so hard that I'm in the top 1%, and now I'm beating them because I have some God-given gift.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
You have to do the hard work first. If there's no hard work, there's no smart work. So someone's going to sit there and go, I work smart, I don't work hard, so I only have to work an hour a day. If working smart gets you a lot done in an hour a day, then you should work smart for 12 hours a day and get 12 times the work done. I am absolutely and utterly a believer in hard work. I'm a proponent of hard work. I have all this money and all I do is work. My entire life is work. This podcast is work. I'm getting in the car and going to another meeting, work. I'm going to fuck a bitch. That's work. She's going to be on my arm at the fucking Cannes at the film festival. That's more credibility. I consider it work to fuck her. That's work. I want to go to the gym so I'm in good shape. Work. It's all work. My entire life is work. And people don't want to look at life that way. They want to talk about work-life balance and being lazy and all this crap. I don't believe in any of that. I believe in, if you want to win, you have to outcompete the man who's prepared to do nothing but work. It's player versus player. If you're going to sit there and go, I don't want to work more than an hour a day, well, the guy who does want to work more than an hour a day is going to beat you. And no matter how smart you are, there's always a smart dude who's doing the same smart work you are for more hours than you're doing it. That's just the nature of the game. And this is why we talk about things like passive income. Passive income's a fucking scam. I'm tired of people coming to me saying, I want to make passive income. Look, everyone loves passive money, right? I make money as I sleep. I get it. You need to de-link your time to your money, because if you're only working for money, you run out of time, you can't make enough money. I understand all those principles. My point is, if you have no money and you're coming to me saying, I want to make passive income, why are you not making active income? Get up off your ass and work first. Because there's no such thing as completely, truly 100% passive. You're going to have to check on it. You're going to have to maintain it. You're going to have to find a new tenant for that property. You're going to have to make sure that DeFi crypto farm you're in doesn't go to zero. It's not a rug pull. Yeah. You're always going to have to keep an eye on it, right? But the idea that people with no money are already so concerned with making money without work is amazing to me. You should be worried about active income. If you show me, if I'm a brokey and you show me how to make $1,000 an hour, I don't sit there and go, okay, but how can I make that passive? I go, cool, I'm making $18,000 a day because I'm going to work. Dude, you don't need to worry about passive income until you have no more time. I look at passive income because I have 18 hours a day I work. When all 18 of those hours are done and my workload still isn't finished, I have to find a way to make some of those income streams passive, either via staff or whatever else. Yep. And that's how I work smart. I use all of my time, and when all my time is done, now I have to become more efficient so that I can get more done within the same time frame. To sit there and say, I don't want to use my time, so I want passive income is dumb shit. The 16-year-old making 45 grand a month, if he was to sit to me and go, I don't want to make the TikToks, I want someone else to do it, make it passive, that he wouldn't be making any money. He's just working. You have to just work. At some point you have to bite the bullet and just work. So when someone comes to me talking about passive income and they're a brokey, I'm like, you are just lazy. you are lazy, you will never get anywhere. Lazy people never get anywhere in life, doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's tennis or money. If you're lazy, you're never going to get there. But also, diversification becomes very easy when you have a good team. It's amazing. Every single thing I talk about ties back to things we've already talked about before. We talk about having good people around you, right? So how can I run all these casinos while I'm not even there? Well, I got people around me who can do things for me. I got a good team of people. If you start with a good team, you're going to make it. That's really true. Brotherhood in and of itself is so valuable. If you sit around with 20 people and none of them are lazy and none of them are snakes, you're going to be fine. So you need to have people you can give this guy's in charge of this thing. That guy's in charge of this thing.
Delegate people, different roles, different
Absolutely.
tasks.
Absolutely. You got to have a team. You got to have a network. And my network is so strong. That's one of the big advantages I have. I have people around me who I can genuinely, seriously trust. I think the world is a violent place. I think there's violence all around us. I think that I view the world in a violent way. And I don't mean that in a negative context. I say a lot of things and people take them as negative, but I see them as positive, right? Like I say I'm an angry person and people imagine me to be like unhappy. Yeah. I'm super happy, but I'm angry. Angry is motivating to me. You can't sleep if you're angry, so you better work, right? So I'm an angry guy, but I'm a happy guy. And I see the world as a violent place. I've always seen it as a violent place. If most people look at a tree, they see a beautiful tree, right? If I look at a big, strong, beautiful tree, I think he must have fucked up every other little sapling around him. He took all the water, took all the nutrients, he destroyed them all. There was once 20 trees, and all 19 are dead. And they got one tree left, the big G, top G tree.
Not one.
Top tree. Tate, that's it. That's violence. Violence got him there, right? He destroyed his enemy. That's how he got to the top. You see a beautiful tree, I see violence. You understand? And that's the true nature of the universe. You have to learn that you have to take things from other people. And by taking it, I'm not saying go rob a bank. I'm not saying that. I'm saying completely the opposite. You can be a philanthropist. I'm taking money from everyone inside of HU, but I'm changing their lives. It's a good thing. You can take money in a positive way. Most people don't look at life that way. And when you look at life that way, you need to start identifying. One of the things we teach inside of HU is to identify every single time your money is taken from you. So I say this to people. I say for the next 2 weeks, every time you spend money, even if it's £1, write down how they got it from you. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, all right, cool. You're walking down the street. You're going to Starbucks, you buy a coffee. Why did they take your money? Well, I wanted coffee. Yeah, but how? Okay, you wanted coffee, right? Cool. Did you only want a coffee because you saw Starbucks, or did you want a coffee beforehand? Why did you want their coffee and not another coffee? Did you buy a cake as well? Why did you buy a cake? All right, cool. So now you identified how they took your money. Then realize how they could have took more of your money. You bought a cake, but you didn't buy a sandwich. Why? The sandwiches weren't on display, or they looked cold, or they looked rubbish. Or the woman who was serving me was old and ugly. Maybe she was a young cutie and talked to me about bologna sandwiches or a ball. Right? So you need to start identifying how your money is taken from you. Because once you identify how your money is taken from you, you can start to actually intelligently think about how you can take money from other people. If I had to open a coffee shop, if I sit in a coffee shop, right? If I sit in Starbucks, the whole time I'm in there, not only am I thinking about how they got the money from me and how much I spent, I'm thinking about how I could outcompete them. I'd sit there and go, okay, cool. I'm in Starbucks. I spent £5.68. I got a latte and I got a donut. And I'm sitting here, and that business place, that commercial property right across the street is available for lease. How could I outcompete this coffee shop which just took my money? What's the profit margin on this £5.68? How much did this cost them? The coffee, pennies. Donut, 30p maybe, right? How much is the staff? They pay the staff minimum wage £8 an hour. So I've already paid 30 minutes work from that broker, the wage. She's there for another 30 minutes for free, right? How much is the rent? How much is the business rates? If I had to open up there, how would I attract people to come into my shop as opposed to their shop? They got a big brand name. I'm brand new. Okay, well, the bitch working here is ugly. My one's going to be hot. Boom. That's the beginning. Next thing, do they have any signage outside? No. I'm going to try and put some signage outside. Do they have parking? No. I need parking.